Welcome to Bite-Sized Folklore, where we dive into myths, legends, and strange little stories from Scotland and Ireland, all in episodes short enough to fit into your coffee break. I'm Jodie, and today we're following the faint tap, tap, tapping of a tiny hammer deep into the Irish countryside. That's right, today's tale is all about the leprechaun. When most people think of leprechauns, they imagine a grinning little man in a green suit and top hat, usually clinging onto a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. But the real lore runs deeper and much, much older than holiday decorations and cereal mascots. The name leprechaun is believed to come from the Old Irish lecorpan, meaning a small body, and early stories date back over 1,000 years. The leprechaun is part of the vast Irish fairy tradition known collectively as the Aishí, a supernatural race said to live in an invisible world parallel to our own, often hidden beneath ancient mounds or inside fairy rings. Unlike many of the Aishí, leprechauns are solitary. They don't travel in groups, they don't dance at moonlit revels, and they don't grant wishes just for fun. Instead, they are known as craftsmen, especially shoemakers. In fact, one of the most iconic clues to a nearby leprechaun is the sound of his hammer. Tap, 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 as he works on a tiny shoe somewhere just out of sight. Now you might ask, what use is shoemaking to a fairy? Well, it's said that the rest of the fairies do quite a bit of dancing, and someone's got to keep their shoes in good repair. The leprechaun, clever and cunning, took that job and amassed quite a bit of gold doing it. But of course, it's the gold where things get really interesting. According to Irish tradition, if a human captures a leprechaun, the little man must either tell them where the treasure is hidden or grant them 3 wishes. But leprechauns are masters of trickery, and getting what you want from a leprechaun is never as easy as it seems. Let me tell you one of the older tales. This one comes from County Kerry in the southwest of Ireland. Long ago, there was a poor farmer named Seamus who lived on the edge of a forest. One evening, as he walked home at dusk, he heard an odd sound. Tap. Curious, he followed it quietly through the trees until he stumbled upon a tiny man no taller than a rabbit, sitting on a mushroom hammering away at a single boot. Seamus knew at once what he'd found. A leprechaun. Without hesitating, he leapt forward and grabbed the creature, who immediately began kicking and squirming. "Let me go, you great oaf!" the leprechaun shouted. "Not until you tell me where the gold is hidden," said Seamus. Now the leprechaun sighed and looked around dramatically. "Fine," he said. "I'll tell you, but you must promise not to harm me." "I swear it," said Seamus. The leprechaun pointed to a nearby hawthorn bush. "Beneath that very bush lies a pot of gold. You must dig quickly before anyone else finds it." Seamus realised he had no shovel, so he tied a red ribbon from his cap around the bush and let the leprechaun go, just for a moment, so he could go and fetch his tools. He ran all the way home, grabbed his spade and hurried back, only to find something strange. The clearing now held hundreds of hawthorn bushes, and every single one of them had a red ribbon tied around it. The leprechaun, of course, was nowhere to be seen. That, dear listeners, is how most human encounters with leprechauns tend to end, with confusion, trickery, and absolutely no gold. But the leprechaun hasn't always been seen as a harmless prankster. In older stories, especially those told before the 19th century, they were often more temperamental. Some tales describe leprechauns who drink heavily, cause property damage, or lead travellers astray. They could be vindictive if wronged, and not every tale ends with the human walking away safely. Interestingly, older depictions show leprechauns dressed in red, not green, and with cocked hats, leather aprons, and a more weathered workman-like look. The green clothing and rainbow gold came much later, largely influenced by Victorian Romanticism and, believe it or not, American popular culture. Today, leprechauns are mostly associated with fun and fantasy, but at their heart, they remain a symbol of cleverness, trickery, and a kind of guarded magic. You might say they represent the Irish spirit itself, small, quick-witted, full of stories and not easily fooled. So the next time you think you hear the tap of a tiny hammer in the woods, stop and listen. But whatever you do, don't look away, because if you let go of a leprechaun, you'll never catch him again. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Bite-Sized Folklore. If you enjoyed this tale of leprechauns and their legendary gold, consider leaving a review or sharing the show with a fellow folklore fan. Got a favourite myth or magical creature you'd like me to feature? Send it my way. Until next time, may your luck be good and your gold be real.